Another huge tranche of Abacha loot on the way back home, as Nigerian government signs agreement with the U.S. government for the repatriation of $23 million stolen fund stashed away in the United States. In a last-minute, desperate plan to bridge the infrastructure gap in Nigeria, the Buhari government introduces the National Council on Infrastructure to be driven by public and private sector collaboration. Hello and welcome everyone to Politics Today. I'm Terry Ikumi. Now, it's day 192 of the ASU strike, and it would appear that neither side is willing to compromise. Now, while reports had earlier emerged that the federal government was planning to proscribe the union, the Ministry of Education has said there is no such plan. There are reports, however, that the National Executive Council of ASU will meet on Sunday, August the 28th, to take a decision on whether to suspend or continue the strike action. Welcome once again. The Nigerian government has signed an agreement with the United States of America for the return of over $23 million siphoned by the late former military head of state, General Sani Abacha. The agreement signing ceremony was held in the office of the Minister of Justice and Attorney General of Federation, Mr. Abubakar Malami. And while Mr. Malami signed on behalf of the Nigerian government, the U.S. Ambassador to Nigeria, Mary Beth Leonard, signed on behalf of the U.S. government. And according to the Minister of Justice, the fund will be invested in 3 ongoing federal government projects, including the Abuja-Kaduna Road and the Second Niger Bridge. Now, the Buhari administration has set up the National Council on Infrastructure for collaboration between the federal government and the private sector to bridge the nation's infrastructural gaps. Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo, who formally inaugurated the council during a virtual meeting, which he presided over today, stated that for efficient and effective implementation of infrastructure projects, the National Integrated Infrastructure Master Plan recommended the establishment of the National Council on Infrastructure and its technical working group. The House of Representatives today held a one-day public hearing on a bill to establish the Electoral Offences Commission bill. The INEC chairman, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, was there and had this to say.
It is clear that the reform of our electoral process cannot be complete without effective sanctions on violators of our laws. At present, INEC is saddled with the responsibility of prosecuting electoral offenders under the Electoral Act. This has been very challenging for the Commission. For instance, since the 2015 general election, 125 cases of electoral offenses were filed in various courts, out of which 60 convictions have so far been secured, including the most recent one in Akwa Ibom State. The Commission would like to see more successful prosecution of offenders, not just ballot box snatchers, falsifiers of election results and vote buyers at polling units, but most importantly, their sponsors. We look forward to the day when highly placed sponsors of thuggery, including high-profile figures that seek to benefit from these violations, are arrested and prosecuted. We believe that the work of the proposed commission will help in this regard. The ballot box snatcher is unlikely to be a beneficiary of the election. The person who gives money at the polling unit is unlikely to be a beneficiary of the election. And these shenanigans will not stop until we get to their sponsors, the high-profile sponsors of these violations, and make an example out of them.
INEC Chairman Professor Mahmood Yakubu there. And for more political stories, here's your political roundup.
The government of Kogi State is assuring residents of adequate protection of their rights as it promises to uphold the human rights of all citizens through prompt implementation of the report and recommendations on EndSARS protest. Speaking in Lokoja, the Kogi State capital, while receiving the report of the committee set up by the state government to look into the remote cause of the October 2020 EndSARS protest in Kogi State, the secretary to the state government, Mrs. Folashade Ayoade, says the protection of people's rights remains sacrosanct. The governor of Kogi State had on the 10th of October 2020 directed the setting up of a human rights special intervention group under the Public Defender and Citizens Rights Commission to receive and resolve complaints from the public.
I'm delighted that the report has been presented today. I commend the efforts of the Public Defender and Citizens Rights Commission.
The Ogun State Governor, Dakwa Abiodun, has sworn in 7 new commissioners to fill the existing gaps and ensure effective service delivery, while a Deputy Chief of Staff to the Governor was also sworn in. At a ceremony held at the Executive Council chamber in Abeokuta, the state capital, the Governor charges them to make transparency, accountability and fairness their watchword in order to justify the confidence reposed in them, while asking for cooperation and understanding for the economic blueprint of the administration on infrastructure development. Governor Abiodun also seizes the occasion to thank the State House of Assembly for its cooperation without betraying the principle of checks and balances.
You have been designated because you are qualified and possess the right experience to make a positive difference in our dear state. Your actions and performance should steadily help our state blossom, grow well, and make our people thrive.
The Osun 2022 Governorship Election Petition Tribunal sitting in Oshogbo has begun hearing on 2 motion expertise filed by the incumbent Governor Boyega Oyetola and the All Progressives Congress APC, challenging the result of the July 16th election. Governor Boyega Oyetola and the All Progressives Congress APC filed 2 motion expertise on the 11th of August 2022 at the tribunal sitting at the Osun State High Court. Counsel to the petitioner Yomi Aliu SAN says the experte motion is to substitute service on the second respondent, Governor-elect Ademola Adeleke, based on his inaccessibility when beliefs attempted to serve the PDP candidate the notice of the petition. He alleged that the belief safety were not guaranteed on getting to the residence of the second respondent, as the counsel prefers pasting the petition on the court's notice board.
The belief said we left there for our safety. No, that carries a lot of, insinuation.
The Labour Party has held a town hall meeting in Kwara State with different groups under the party to harmonize, strategize and woo more members to the party for the forthcoming general elections. Speakers at the occasion expressed readiness of the party to clinch power for the benefit of ordinary Nigerians, especially the youths across the country. The national chairman of the party, who was represented by the national vice chairman, was full of joy as he dances and expresses the readiness of the party to bring the country out of the present challenges.
I believe you're coming here. You are a stakeholder. You are a stakeholder in the Nigeria project. We must rescue Nigeria. Nigeria is in a state of comatose. Nigeria must be brought back alive. Nigeria must not die. And that is in our hands.
Now, crisis seems to be brewing in the New Nigeria People's Party as former governor of Kano State, Ibrahim Shekarau, who a couple of months ago joined the party after leaving the APC, is accusing the party's presidential candidate, Senator Rabiu Kwankwaso, and his group of betraying the trust reposed in them since he joined the party a few months ago. Senator Shekarau says an agreement was reached between him and Kwankwaso to accommodate his supporters into various elective positions in the party. But until now, the committee's setup has not accommodated one single person apart from the senatorial slot given to him. That's Senator Shekarau. He is, however, yet to conclude on whether he would believe in the NNPP or not, but assures his supporters that the next line of action would be communicated to them within a few weeks. Now let's get straight to our discussion today. We're looking at the 2023 general elections, and we'll begin with the All Progressives Congress. My guest is in our Lagos office. Here's Muhammad Bulama. He's the Director of New Media of the APC Presidential Campaign Council. Mr. Bulama, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
I just want to start off by setting a background to your responsibility as Director of New Media, because of how important that office is. So let me ask you, what's your mandate as Director of New Media with regard to the APC campaign and the 2023 general elections?
Well, let me start by correcting you. I'm actually Deputy Director Multimedia, not New Media. New Media is handled by Ms. Sheun Olufemi White. As for
thank you.
As for my responsibilities as the Deputy Director New Media, as you will know, the Directorate, that's the Director of Media and Communications, has 3 directors. First, Festus Keyamo, the Director of Public Affairs, Bayo Onanuga, Director of Media and Publicity, and Mr. Alake, former Commissioner of Information, Lagos State, Director Strategic Communications. So, and under these 3 directorates, you have 6 sub-directors, if you like. You have 6 deputy directors, one of which I am, and I'm in charge of, like I said, I'm in charge of multimedia. There are those ones like Hanatu Musawa, who is in charge of public affairs, Malan Lare, Isa Onilu, who is in charge of communication strategy, Isaac Modibo Kao, in charge of media and publicity, and so on. So basically, as news media implies, I am supposed to, with my team, juxtapose, take advantage of everything you have in media, audio, video, digital, what have you. And we're supposed to combine this to the advantage of our candidates.
Mr. Bulama, all right, thank you. That's well noted. Now, considering that you are director of the multimedia, I want to draw your attention to the perception on social media, basically because of the level of attention that's been paid to that, and why your party considers it important as well to set up a subcommittee for that purpose. So let me ask you this question. How difficult or otherwise do you think it would be to sell your candidate on social media?
I don't think we have any problem. Just wait until we finally unleash our campaigns on social media and on other platforms. The campaigns are yet to start. They are starting at the end of September. That's in about a month's time. When the time comes, we will prove to Nigerians that we are indeed ready for this campaign. Unfortunately for us, we really have a very sellable asset, so to say, both our presidential candidate and his running mate, Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Senator Kashim Shettima, respectively. These are people who have performed. It's clearly on record. And at the end of telling you all that I have to say to you, I will remind Nigerians to go and verify. But in case I forget, I have already said it, go and verify whatever that we are saying. Kashim Shettima yesterday said that his principal, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and himself are going to replicate what they have done in Lagos and what they have done in Borno. They are there. Everybody knows what Tinubu has done in Lagos State. And anybody who knows Lagos, like myself, before Tinubu came to power, I know Lagos very well, even though I come from Borno State. I schooled at the Federal Government College of Odogbolu in nearby Ogun State. I served in Oyo State, in Isheyi. And I also did my postgraduate studies at the University of Lagos. So I know Lagos very, very well. I know Lagos in the 70s. I knew Lagos in the 70s. I knew Lagos in the 90s and 80s. I know Lagos now. And we know how Bola Ahmed Tinubu transformed Lagos from a crime-infested, indebted, with a state with a lot of infrastructure deficit and increased infrastructure and low income generation capacity to what it is today, a mega city which transformed from a state that was generating as low as 600 million naira per month to over 50 billion naira today. Look at all the infrastructure coming up in Lagos, new ports, new airport, new seaport, train services, so on and so forth. There are just too many for me to list here. What Bola Ahmed Tinubu
Mr.
has done in Lagos. Anybody
the
who
reason,
knew Lagos before
Mr.
him.
Bulama,
Yes.
the reason I started the conversation with the social media talk is because your party considers social media very important, I'd like to believe, to market its candidates.
Of course we do.
And there are concerns as to how your party will be able to sell a candidate on social media, the same social media, especially Twitter, that your party had banned for some months.
That my party has...
How do you think the acceptance will be when that time comes?
How do you mean? Tell me, how did you verify that my party is not acceptable on social media? What are your indices?
I'm not saying your party is not acceptable. I'm asking how you intend to sell your party on the same social media.
We are going to sell
specifically
our party
Twitter
on the
that you were that Nigerians were banned from using for a while.
We are going to sell our party and candidates on the basis of the verifiable track records that they've had in Lagos and Borno respectively, and which our opponents don't have. Pure and simple. Let the presidential candidate of Labour Party show us what he has done. Let him tell Nigerians that he is going to replicate what he has done in Anambra State in Nigeria when he becomes president. Let the presidential candidate of the PDP tell us also he doesn't even have the executive experience. He has never held any executive position. So he was never even in a position to have a track record. The only track record he has is that of selling off Nigeria's assets in the name of privatization. Take, for example, the Delta Steel Company cost Nigeria $1.1 billion, and it was sold for a paltry $30 million by the PDP candidate. So what is going to be difficult? All we are going to do is we are going to compare mangoes with mangoes, apples with apples. Their track records. And mind you, the APC...
let me ask you this question.
Let me land,
when you talk about...
Let me land first, please. The APC ticket...
All right, go ahead.
The APC ticket is by far the most outstanding of all the presidential tickets we have today. Because both of them have been governors, both of them have been senators, and for that matter, performing governors and performing senators. Show me any of the other tickets where you will have people with this kind of pedigree. None of them. Both of them have exercised executive power as governors. So they know what they are doing. And on the first day, inshallah, on the 29th of May, 2023, they are going to hit the ground running. So it's very easy to sell these things.
Okay, Mr. Bulama, can I come in here now? Let me draw, when you talk about track record and the need to judge candidates based on where they've been, Nigerians would like to know how you can get to convince them on why they should vote for your candidate at a time when the country is looking for a leader that will help in the fight against corruption, and then your candidate has unexplainable wealth. Nigerians would like to know how they can trust a man like that.
Did you say my presidential candidate is corrupt? Or is that what you are suggesting?
I said unexplainable wealth according to Nigerians.
Tell me what is unexplainable in his conduct as senator of Lagos State, as governor of Lagos State, and as a kingmaker and a senior leader of the APC from 1999 to date. Nobody has any corruption case against Bola Ahmed.
No, could you explain the wealth then, since you say it's...
If anything, listen to me, if anything, he was a man who was put in the dock. If you have forgotten, in 2006, I suppose, purely politically motivated attempt to smear his character. They put him in the dock through the Code of Conduct Bureau, and he came out with his hands very, very clean. Since then, nobody has any case against him. Mind you, if people think because Bola Ahmed Tinubu is comfortable, and if they think that he made his money through corruption, let me refer Nigerians back to the fact that even before '92, before he ever stepped into politics in 1992, he was already a millionaire in dollars. He had assets in America. He had homes in America. He had businesses. He was working for a first-class international, multinational company. He was very, very comfortable. As a matter of fact, the reason Bola Ahmed Tinubu ventured into politics was because he wanted to help his country. He wanted to help his community. He wanted to help his state. He wanted to help Nigeria. And that is exactly what he has done. This is a man who has made so many sacrifices for Nigeria, so many sacrifices for the ordinary people. A man who fought the military to a standstill, a hero of democracy. A man who came and transformed Lagos within the twinkle of an eye. And is this the man you will tell us is corrupt?
Mr. Bulama, critics, my question is premised on the submission by critics. It's not a personal question. Critics are trying to understand this man, and I recall that, I'm sure you've seen that also in the social media, that there are allegations against him that are drug-related as well. And Nigerians, since we want to have conversation on issues, have issues-based campaigns, Nigerians want to be clear on who they are voting into power, especially in an era where corruption is thriving in the country, and they need someone who can help tackle corruption.
So, all these stories being told on social media, like you said, these are baseless concoctions of propagandists or people who have nothing better to do. Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been subjected to all kinds of scrutiny in his political life, and he has come out clean. He has not had any problem. They tried to rob him in many deals, underhand deals. They have not succeeded. Tell me, just give me one evidence, verifiable evidence, that shows that Bola Ahmed Tinubu is corrupt, or he did drugs, or whatever that they say on social media. Give me one verifiable evidence of all the things they've said against him. This is a man like...
Well, beyond the qualification of the candidates, Nigeria... All right, beyond the qualification of the candidates, Nigerians look to your party as one that's been in power for a while and would have certain yardsticks with which to measure whether or not to continue with the APC or otherwise. One of them is the ASU strike. There are those who believe that this administration has not handled the ASU strike well enough. And I started this conversation by asking you about social media. A great percentage of Nigerian youths are on social media. A lot of them now at home tweeting and using social media more because they cannot go to school. Why should Nigerians trust the APC for another 4 years when the government doesn't seem, according to critics again, to be paying attention to education as much as it should?
Thank you very much. I want to challenge you on your assertion that a great percentage of Nigerians are critical about what this government is doing. That is false, palpably false. If you have any evidence, any survey conducted, show me. All these issues are neither here and nor there. And about the ASU strike, let me tell you that this ASU issue has been going on for over 30 years today, or nearly 30 years. It has become a very, very protracted and seemingly difficult problem to solve. And I'm speaking to you as an insider. I am seated here. I want to declare to you that I was chairman of ASU at the University of Maiduguri in the mid-90s. I was a part of this struggle. And never in my expectation or dream did I ever imagine that this crisis is going to be protracted for this length of time. Nearly 30 years today, we've been battling with this issue. Successive governments have done, as a matter of fact, what the Buhari government is taking is the baggage from the 16 years of misrule of our educational sector by the PDP-led government. And I'm telling you, and now that this strike has prolonged this long, I want to assure you that government is doing everything possible. The Buhari government is doing everything possible to make sure that this issue is settled once and for all. Especially because Buhari, in another 9 months, is going to hand over to a newly democratic elected government in 9 months or so. He doesn't want to hand over any baggage to anybody. That's why he wants to do it in a way, in a systematic and deliberate manner that will solve this problem once and for all. And I want to assure Nigerians that is what is happening. And a Bola Ahmed Tinubu-led government, come May 2023, God willing, will deal with
Mr.
this
Mohammed
issue
Gulam, I would like to
decisively
thank you very
and once
much.
and for all.
Thank you. Thank you very much for coming to speak with us. Wish you well as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, so the conversation tonight is still about the 2023 general elections. The chairman of the Board of Trustees of the People's Democratic Party, Senator Wali Jibrin, is insisting that, based on his earlier statements that the PDP cannot produce a president, national chairman, and BOT chairman, all from the north for the 2023 presidential elections, he says that the PDP is a democratic and national party that caters for all Nigerians, and as BOT chairman, he must say the truth and nothing but the truth, no matter anyone's criticism. Well, that's our talking point tonight. My guest is joining from our Kano studio. He is former governor of Jigawa State and chieftain of the People's Democratic Party, His Excellency Sule Lamido. Your Excellency, good evening.
Hi, Terry. Good evening.
Let's pick up from the statement from the BOT chairman. He seems to be siding with the narrative that the North seems to be dominating the leadership positions in the PDP. The presidential candidate is from the North. The BOT chairman is from the North, as well as the national chairman, and that's one of the demands of the Nyesom Wike camp. How do you see this playing out? Because it seems that he believes that the national chairman should go.
Well, thank you, Terry. It's a very, very difficult conversation today in Nigeria because issues are being defined by emotions and sentiments, not based on really what is going through in Nigeria. This country is going through a lot of difficulties, insecurity, lack of employment. I mean, everything is almost wrong with Nigeria. We should be talking about those issues first, not about, who is where and who is coming from where. This is my feeling. And so the chairman, in his own wisdom, that's his own view. But then you see, maybe he's forgotten that, in 2007, when we had Erdogan as the candidate for the presidency, we had also Ahmad Ali from the same zone as the chairman of the party. And the difference between the chairman, between the candidate and the president of Nigeria. So at that time, we say fair enough. After the election, if PDP win the election, then of course, naturally, this position will swap. So I don't see any particular reason why we should go into kind of, debate about, who is why, who is that. We are now facing elections. Election a country where things are very, very bad. We should be more focused on how do we unite, how do we create, harmony between brother and but then not, creating division. In which way will this division now help us win the election? In which way? So I think, to me, we have history of this party, and it has done so much for Nigeria in the last 25 years. We should not be indulging in this kind of division, especially from the chairman of the BOT, because he there is a symbol of Nigeria, not a symbol of division in Nigeria. He's a national symbol. If there's any problem, they should convene a meeting of the party, and then we'll discuss this issue. But then going to the air, talking about injustice and unfairness I don't think is within the purview of an office. I don't think so. So,
but where do you stand on this issue? What do you think is the way out? Yes, the committee has started meeting, but what's the way out? Because it would seem that that's a demand from the Wike camp. Do you think that the national chairman should go?
Excuse me. You see, this party, like all other parties in Nigeria, has got its own constitution, its own, norms, its own guidelines. And if you look at the procedure of producing candidates in Nigeria under the PDP, right from the councillorship to the chairmanship, to the member House of Assembly, the governor, National Assembly, there are specified rules and regulations. And it is the congresses at the world level which will produce these officers. And in those congresses, people contest for councillorship. Some win, some lose. The same thing with chairmanship. One will win, others will lose. The same thing with governorship. So what is the big deal about this issue about, convention and the Wike? Which Wike? I mean, what is the issue? To me, who offended Wike? Who offended him? This is what, what is the problem? What is the issue? There is no issue there. There was a convention of the party, in Abuja, where Atiku emerged as the candidate, and the Wike, by his own testimony, saying, it was credible, it was transparent, it was okay. So what's the big deal here? What is the problem here? Who offended who there? I want to know first, because before you talk about division, I want to know why I bring Wike as an issue here. Why is Wike an issue here? I want to know.
You don't think that Wike is an issue? I feel the presidential candidate of your party thinks it's an issue, and that's why he's agreed to set up a committee to sort this out. But then, what are the dangers of going into the 2023 election for your party without this reconciliation?
Now, listen, get this very, very clear. those who met are simply well-wishers. Those who met are not, somebody from the party or from the candidate. They are well-wishers of both Atiku and Wike. That's all. I mean, those who went there were there on behalf of PDP. They are not. Now they are there on behalf of anybody. They are simply well-wishers. And so the convention produced a candidate who won the primaries. All right? Now, if there's any offense, it is the convention which offended Wike, not Atiku, not anybody, not party chairman. It is the convention. Now, if you say now the convention which produced you as a governor on 2 occasions, which produced also his current candidate for governorship and other places in River State, then it means there's a problem. So the issue, what are the issues? Nobody has been offended by anybody. It is the function of the Congress and the convention to produce candidates, and they've done so. Why are you keep on talking about Wike? I want to know really.
Are you saying that the presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar did not set up a committee in tandem with Wike's camp to reach a settlement?
To get this straight, there are people who are well-wishers, who want to make sure that there is peace in PDP. They're not there for PDP or for anybody. They're simply there for Atiku as a person, not as a candidate of the party. To make sure they know if there's anything between the two, then they should require, but then they are not there on behalf of PDP. Similarly, Wike is a PDP man. All right? He can simply get out of the PDP and say, I want to reconcile. Reconcile with who? Who offended who? How?
Well, then what's your understanding of what's going on, and how do you suggest that it should be resolved?
We should simply move on. We should go by our party constitution, our party culture and traditions, and move on talking, move on and campaign for the presidency. Those who are now ranting and talking are simply talking because they are in that position. Remove the office from those people who are talking. They'll simply come to my own level. I'm a former governor. Who was a governor? I also missed some notes, but they removed the office from them. All of them, those who are talking, remove the office. They'll come to my own level as an ordinary person, former governor. That's all. If the office talking, the cameras, the neon lights, the paraphernalia, it's the office, not the personality. Remove the office. Remove it. But then come to their own natural level.
But are you not concerned about the numbers in Rivers State, the voting population in Rivers State? Let's say that this reconciliation process doesn't go through. Are you worried about what this would mean for your party if your party cannot win in Rivers State? Or are you confident that Governor Nyesom Wike will not leave the party or work against the party?
Jerry, I'll tell you, sorry, with all respect to you, you see, Wike is an individual. I don't think, because the governor there, he has total monopoly and control over Rivers. He hasn't got it. He's only speaking because he's a bluff. Rivers people are people who are also in their own right in PDP, in their own right. They are there in 1999 when he joined. They are there when he was the council chairman. So they've been there with him. Therefore, he can simply, because he's a governor, appropriate so that he's going to be their emperor. It can't work. Out of us, look, go to Akwa Ibom. Go to Akwa Ibom. There's a governor there. Go to any other state. There is a Wike in every part of Nigeria who are governors. Everywhere there's a governor, there's a Wike. Therefore, if the office of the governor talking fair enough, but then those personalities, are so mature that, there are something they will not say. So, please leave Wike alone. He has the right to do whatever he wants. He can give order on people. If the people in Rivers are enslaved to him, they are his own slave. And therefore, he can control. Fair enough, he's the emperor. Let him give the order. But then you see, right now, if you go to Rivers, there are 13 candidates for the governorship in Rivers State. And it was Wike who imposed the current candidate. And nobody questioned that. The other are there screaming, complaining. But then he said, look, I saw you on TV the way he was talking, and I felt a little bit worried the way he was talking because he was too bombastic. I will not allow this. I will not allow this. Which one will not allow? This country called Nigeria is not for one individual, It's a country which was founded, on some principles, and the PDP stands for something uniquely different from other political parties. And it is producing former presidents, about 3 former presidents. How many governors? I mean, in the next 8 months, we are going to be in the same political dustbin like me. In the same political dustbin of former governors.
Your Excellency,
about it. Those who are talking now, yes.
Your Excellency, let's leave this Wike issue and talk about the numbers now. There are those who believe that your party stood a chance against the APC if it had kept Peter Obi, who is now gathering the numbers. And there are those who believe as well that the PDP cannot do anything without a coalition to oust the APC. What do you say to that?
You see, people can say anything based on their opinion. What I'm saying, go state by state. go to Lagos, inquire, how relevant are other political parties in Lagos State. Go to Oshun, go to Ogun, go to Rivers, go to Sokoto, go to Jigawa, go all over Nigeria, and then pick the sense there. What are the issues there in those states? How are the people there talking? You don't simply lump Nigeria, as one thing because say one person or that people are saying so. No, I mean, if you go to Sokoto, if you go to Akwa Ibom, ask them in Akwa Ibom, where are they going to vote? They're going to vote for PDP because they've got their own emperor and governor. They go to Bayelsa. So you see, when you begin to narrow this into a personality, it will diminish and also demeans the PDP. A PDP is too important, too big an organ to be diminished by anybody. It has produced so many leaders. Those who are talking now were PDP's invention. They were PDP's discovery. They are our own creation. So what the first?
All right, Your Excellency, as we look towards the 2023 elections, what areas do you think that the PDP should prioritize if it wants to win the elections next year?
Today in Nigeria, the government of APC has been there for 8 years. Has simply done our own campaign for us. Because in every sector of the country, either in the economy or in security or corruption, social services, everything they failed. So our biggest campaign manager is APC. That's all. Go to any village, ask them, what's your problem? They say APC. Go anywhere, what's your problem today? It's APC. So APC are our own campaign organizer, our own campaign director, our own everything because we are going to win. That's why I don't fear no election at all. APC has destroyed Nigeria, and the people are yearning for PDP government because it has got the experience, it has got the background, it has got the material, the institutions to save Nigeria.
Are there states, just beyond the presidential election, are there states that you're confident that the PDP could reclaim in 2023? And could you support that with certain facts or figures if you have?
No, the figures are you and me. The figures are Nigerians. I'm asking you, are you happy now? Do you feel comfortable? Do you feel secure? Can you drive? Can you dare come to Abuja and go to Kaduna Road? Can you do it? I mean, you are our people. Your people are there to say, yes, what I'm going through to as an individual, as a person, in terms of my own personal well-being, my own security, whatever. I am the person now who is suffering. So you are also campaigning for me because you know what I'm going through. You know it.
Your Excellency, I'd like to thank you for finding time to speak with us today and also apologize for the inconvenience you had to go through yesterday caused by the erratic network. But thank you very much for returning today.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you very much. Good to see you.
We'll take a quick break and we will be right back. Please stay with us. Welcome back to Politics Today. 2023 and the general elections are still our focus. My next guest is the presidential candidate of the Social Democratic Party's Prince Adewale Adebayo. Welcome to Politics Today.
Adewale Adebayo, thank you.
I think we should begin with this by getting your reaction to the division within your party over the statement from the man who says he's the National Publicity Secretary, but then there are reactions to that saying that he is not. He says that your party would not be surprised if your party aligned with the APC. What's your reaction to that?
Well, he's an imposter. We don't know him. He's not a member of our party. He might have been a member of our party maybe 10 years ago, I don't know, maybe 8 years ago, I don't know. But I'm the presidential candidate of the party. I know everyone in the party. For the life of me, I don't know this person. Maybe it's a pseudonym, maybe it's anything, I don't know. So it could be anyone. It could be talking from Afghanistan. It could be anybody. So I hope someone can find him, at least identify who he is. But I suspect that it's I don't know why they are fixated with SDP. You should just let us be. If you're confident, just go and run the election.
But then, they say there is no smoke without fire. I think a couple of days, maybe a week ago, you had said that you had no links with Tinubu. You would never want to align yourself with him. And then a few days later, this is what we hear. So
I tend to respond to journalists when they ask me questions. I was at Abeokuta doing my legitimate business as leader of my party. And the press came to me and said that they heard something. And usually it's not my style to talk about the competition. I rather focus on the problems of the country and our solution. And since our politics is not the same old politics, we are ordinary citizens responding to the challenges of the day. So I don't have any history with them. I don't have any competition with them. All I know is that we believe that in this country, at this time, let's have a break. You know, that's our idea. So each time we come out, someone will mention someone. So I have to say, look, it will never happen. So that one you can be sure. It will not happen. So
is it an APC thing, or are you saying that the SDP will not form an alliance going into the elections?
What are we? We could form. We were talking of alliance with new people. I cannot form alliance with those who spend 7.5 years and we have ASU strike. I cannot form an alliance with people who are jeopardizing our lives and making a lot of money out of it. I cannot form alliance with people who are allowing 80% of our natural resource, crude oil, being stolen, and they can stop it today if they want to, but they will not. So I cannot allow an alliance with people who have made it difficult for you to even earn a decent living. Inflation is eating your money. Unemployment is making people to be almost suicidal. Inflation is eating your money. Foreign exchange instability. So what am I aligned? It's not about power. It's not about just finding yourself in some government office. It's about doing work. And they've been given 7.5 years. They can't do it. So how can you also ally with PDP? Whatever problem we are facing with APC today was caused by the failure of the PDP. It was PDP put people in such a desperate position that they would take anyone at that time. And that's how this party came into power. So it's not about, I don't want to focus on them, but I just have to respond honestly to the inquiry being made. And they have a way of throwing these things out there. You know, they have a way of saying, yeah, they are doing well, we like them, we're going to come together. It's not going to happen.
So no APC, no PDP?
No way.
How about the Labour Party?
It's PDP.
The Labour Party is PDP?
It's PDP. I mean, you were just mentioning the question when we were speaking to Governor Lamido just now, that if they had kept him, maybe they had added 1 or 2 carrots, probably would have stayed. Just the same way, if Wike, for example, with due respect, if Governor Wike decides to go out of PDP today, does it make him anything else? These are PDP people. The same problem of ASU strike that you're talking about happened under APC, happened under PDP. The same strike happened under Labour. The man who was in Labour now when he was governor in his state. I don't hate any one of them. I find them quite nice guys from when I interact with them. But there's no ideological alliance. There's nothing for the benefit of the people can make anyone to go and work with them. But if you're working for yourself, looking for how to place yourself in some position, and you are in politics for self-accommodation, then you can find something. But if you want to tar roads, educate children, safeguard the country, discipline the military, keep defense spending in appropriate order, grow the welfare of the people, spend money on social spending, the way they are bankrupting the country with expensive elections, they will spend 3.5 years just trying to recover their election expenses. So it cannot happen. I'd rather win the election, serve the people, or go back to law practice and other things I'm doing.
And you believe you would win. I recall that you had said that the third force will win. You said the SDP was the third force.
Yes.
It would seem that even the PDP and the APC believe that the third force in this case is the Labour Party. Now, while they say that, the concern now would be, does the SDP, considering the permutations so far in the polity, still believe that it has the numbers to compete as a third force and win this thing?
We do have the numbers. If you are looking at Nigerians, now, I understand why there is a politics of the establishment. Unfortunately, the Labour brand, they are my friends, and I'm heartbroken, but these gentlemen, ladies who have worked hard over the years in the Labour movement have finally been hoodwinked, and they've joined the other side. Time will tell. You know, that people make mistakes all the time. But what I'm saying to you is that the reason why they are spending their time is that they are the same people, same source of income, same experience, same behavior. So it's still part of all of that. But the third force is the people of Nigeria, those who have not been in government before, who don't have a track record of what we are complaining about. Let me tell you how I know the establishment. If the things we are complaining about in the country and the dilemma that we are trying to resolve originated from your past practices, I will categorize you, irrespective of whatever label you are using now, as part of the problem. Now, I'm not saying people are not forgivable. There is a place in the heart of God for sinners who repent. There's a place in the heart of God for people who apologize for past deeds. But God himself cannot help hypocrites. People who are part of the problem, but they are mouthing the problem that they are part of as if they are not part of it. Why is that? Because there is no room for you to say, okay, you are changing. You're not changing because they know that in election season, they have polling people, pollsters who poll for them. Whatever issue is popular, they come out and talk about it. The same thing they did with APC in 2015 with all the oil money being stolen, the argument between Governor of Central Bank and the then Minister of Finance over 20-something billion oil money not remitted, and all of the other corruptions. So they came up together and said, okay, people don't like corruption, so let's come out and run on the mantra of corruption. So this is just polling. And they came out. They themselves were more corrupt than the people they were talking about, but since it's a popular subject, they are running on it. Same thing is happening. So our job as leaders of the third force is to tell our people to be disciplined, to study the issue, study people's background, study their character. If someone says, I am going to do this, you ask them, but you had an opportunity for 8 years somewhere to do it. You haven't done it. If you say, why should students suffer and stay at home when the country has money to educate them? People will ask, but when you were governor, there was a lot of strike in your state lasting 11 months. And things like that. Those are principal questions that you talk about.
Let me take you up on something you said yesterday at the NBA conference.
Yes.
You said that politicians should stop stealing. If you become president, how do you intend to stop the stealing of public funds?
Very easy. First, you start with what I'm doing now. Run a lean campaign of volunteers. Don't waste money. Don't attract money to your campaign. Many people, even who are close to me, sometimes question me, why are you not doing this, doing that? Because all these things that you're doing cost money. And when someone comes to you, I've had people come to me, and I'm not mentioning their name, I don't want to embarrass anyone. Someone comes to you and says, oh, I want to put 500 million in your campaign. I always ask them, for what? What's the maximum INEC allows you to spend? And why are you doing this? So, but I welcome volunteers who do this. So you start with that. So when you are going to Eagle Square, you are not going as a debtor who has owed people money. On May 29, 2015, the president had to come out and say, I belong to everybody, I belong to nobody. Why? Because he looked at the list of all the people he owed obligations. It was mind-boggling. And if you look at it now, they are starting that again. So that's the first thing you do. Then you come to government on the strength of popularity with the people. Then you have the freedom to now select the best of Nigerians, home and abroad, whom you know for the life of you that they don't need government money, they don't have degree, they may not be necessarily rich. It doesn't mean that wealthy people cannot be thieves. In many occasions they are. It doesn't also mean that a person who is of modest income cannot be honest. In many cases, they are honest, so it doesn't follow. But you know people who bleed, whose heart bleeds for the country, who just want to be proud citizens of Nigeria, who are proud to be broke in a rich government, not people who want to be rich in a broke government. That's what I'm saying, and I keep giving an example. Last month, I was with my friend, Tom Perez, who has served in the Justice Department as Deputy Attorney General, served as Secretary of Labor for President Obama, served in many capacities. He was telling me he was to run for an election, he had no money. Honest politicians worldwide don't have money, but the government has enough money for social welfare. That is how. But if you do this mercantile system where people donate offices, hundreds of cars. This is like an investment. They're coming back to take their money. So this is what I would do, number one, because once the thief is not able to be in any sensitive position in government, it is difficult to steal government money from outside. It is extremely difficult for armed robbers to break into the central bank vault. They will need to come like an army, and after 10 hours, they haven't stolen anything. But if the governor of the central bank himself, or somebody who's a deputy governor or a director, actually can use a pen to rob the country blind, then what are you talking about? So that is the gateway. Aminu Kano, my leader, said it, that the moment you allow thieves to enter government, bye-bye to peace and prosperity. And that's what we need to deal with. But our politics, with all these shiny lights and all of these expensive things, live coverage that costs millions, and all of these expensive things, you should know that this is not reflective of the anemic state of the economy. It's not reflective of the life of the people. People in whom the government has not invested 10,000 naira in 4 years get to be given 100,000 bicycle, motorcycle. What's all that for? So this is what we need to put an end to, and that's the beginning of solving that problem.
Prince Adebayo, just before we go, in trying to improve our elections, the House of Representatives is considering, or National Assembly, but the House had a hearing today to consider a bill to establish the Electoral Offences Commission. And the INEC chairman was there and urged the House to pass that bill, urged the National Assembly to pass that bill. What are your concerns, or what do you think are some of the inputs that could go into that bill to ensure that offenders or electoral offences are dropped to the barest minimum?
In 2006, I wrote a complete head-to-toe Electoral Offences Commission Act, a bill, which I gave to INEC at that time. Perhaps Professor Ewu or people who were there at that time. I gave it to them. First and foremost, let me just say one thing. It is impossible to commit an electoral offense without committing an already existing criminal offense. So whether you give money to somebody, that's bribery. Whether you intimidate somebody, that's assault or battery. Whether you forge a Form ECA, that's already forgery in our law. So if we had the political will, we could actually prosecute people now. There are people who, let me give you a graphic example.
Quickly, please.
I've done over hundreds of election petitions. There are people in whose name crimes were committed and judicially noticed. There are judgments. If you take all the judgments since 1999 today of election tribunal, there are people who were said to have forged document for that document. So if you want to prosecute them, you can prosecute them. But if you create a commission and we as Social Democratic Party are in government, then we can put people there who are actually not going to use it for politics, who are going to use it ethically to cleanse the system. It is the kind of government you elect. It's an irony because to solve electoral offences problem, you still have to have a clean election before so that you can have a clean government that will institute a clean commission that will do a clean job. So that is the problem of chicken and egg in our struggle for ethical governance in Nigeria.
Prince Adewale Adebayo, thank you very much for coming.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, that's politics today. Many thanks for your time and enjoy the rest of your evening. I'm Terry Ikumi. Goodbye.